Industrial revolution unfolded, the material enjoyed all sorts of new uses in factories and plants throughout the U.S. and abroad. Once again a miracle mineral, asbestos began being mined in earnest in the late 1800s, and many industries gobbled it up quickly. Asbestos found use not only in factories but also in oil and chemical refineries, on railroad cars, and in shipyards. All types of industries found uses for asbestos, often if just to improve the function of products already in existence. The problems that stem from asbestos that the world must be warned of today do not necessarily originate from the mineral itself. Instead, history points to other sources of the cause of death for those whose lungs have become damaged, become ill, or who died from the fibers of the mineral created by God. Almost all those deaths would not have occurred but for the evil greed of man. Millions of people worldwide have died from asbestos because of the extensional exploitation of their lives by rich owners of manufacturing corporations who show little regard for human life in their quest to become more rich. It is those people that are directly responsible for the killing of the workers in their factories. They use money, power, and their influence to suppress asbestos safety laws, and they finance a worldwide campaign to keep the common worker unaware of the eventual doom that comes to those in their factories who unsafely work with the mineral. The precautions that must be in place to assure the safety of workers who are exposed to asbestos requires costs in both production and profit. When workers are kept uninformed, they have no reason to suspect a risk to their health, and thus work unknowingly that death will someday result. Tens of thousands of workers are still exposed on a daily basis to asbestos, and many experience the same delayed health problems as those who did centuries ago who worked in the asbestos mines. The death of so many people due to being exposed to asbestos has become so high in numbers that governments can no longer claim ignorance on the matter. In a society where those who have wealth determine the laws that control that wealth, even the laws themselves apply differently for the corporations as they do to individuals. For example, a person who is directly responsible for someone's death, either intentionally or through negligence, would be called to answer for a violation of the law. Manslaughter charges would be the lowest penalty for any man found to kill another man, except if that man owned a corporation. Then the corporation would assume responsibility, and the man would have privileged immunity to law for the crimes he has committed on behalf of that corporation. This holds especially true in America. To punish a corporation for violating law for injury or harm suffered by an individual during the course of making money, no matter how illegal the means to make that money, is a difficult thing to have happen and rarely occurs. Corporations and businesses avoid being subject to their own laws simply because they control the governments who enforce those laws. Manufacturing corporations, like any company, has people who manage their operations. That management is an important aspect for the success of that corporation. And those who don't manage every aspect of their operation are soon weeded out by business failure. Those companies that realize substantial profit can attribute much of that strategic managing of the company to their success, including those companies that intentionally conceal the death risk exposed to their workers and in fact become directly responsible for the ultimate death of those very people. While corporations enjoy protection to continue to grow rich, the unsuspecting middle class endures a death that could not be more miserable, as it is a prolonged suffering. The only major setback big businesses endured as the general public becomes more informed on the health risks of asbestos is the loss of consumer demand for unsafe asbestos goods. Schools and persons are now weary of asbestos and will avoid it when given a choice. The factories therefore produce less asbestos-containing products. But for thousands of years, governments and corporations have been very aware of the death that comes with